Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Change Podcast. This is Insights into Empowerment. I am your host, Nicole Harvick, and we have an amazing guest today. And when I read his bio, I'm like, my gosh, I could probably talk to him for hours, but we have 30 minutes. So I'm going to just give you a brief overview of who he is, and then we're going to get started. He is a leadership strategist. He is also a keynote speaker. He's a high-performance team architect, and he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro on crutches. So he's known as the Viking. I would love to welcome Cobus Visser to the stage. Thank you. Did I do it right?
You got it right. Perfect. Well
Yay.
done, Nicole. It's not everyone that can do that. So you got it. As you can hear, even the pronunciation. So background, I live in South Africa, as you said. And as South Africa, my forefathers comes from Europe. And so I think that's where the names comes from. So mainly, if I can say Netherlands, German, and a little bit of Slavic country in there as well. And that's why I'm also very tall and big. And some say I do look like a Viking. So that's become my brand.
You know what? I love that because I've actually read, and I don't know whether this is true or not, that the Vikings were actually in the Americas long before Columbus and long before even our natives. So I think I love it. The Viking. How tall are you?
So I'm 1.9 meters over 6 foot. I think 6'2" or 6'3" around there, or 6'4". I don't know the exact American thing, but yeah, that's about how tall I am.
Very good. Now, where do you want to start with all this? First of all, I'd love to hear how you climbed Kilimanjaro on crutches. Can we talk about that real quick?
Definitely. So just for your listeners, I'm born as a hemophiliac. And so for those who don't know what a hemophiliac is, it is a bleeding disorder. It means my blood does not clot. So my blood doesn't have a clotting factor. So I have to constantly inject myself clotting factor to help with the bleeding. However, bleeding over the years of my life, when I was born, my life expectancy was 11 years because of the medicine at that time. And how it's impacted me, it's basically impacted my joints. So I don't have muscles anymore. I can't straighten my elbows. So it affects my elbows. It affected my ankles. So much so that in 2014, I ended up being in a wheelchair. Couldn't walk. The only way I could walk was sometimes in crutches as extra legs. I couldn't put any weight on my ankles. The doctor said, Cobus, you have to get both your ankles replaced and both your elbows replaced. That was my reality at that moment. And because on this journey, I discovered walking on fire, mind power, mindset, Tony Robbins, and all of that. I said, I'm not going to go for the operations. I'm going to see for the first time, is all of this talk real? I need to test it on my body, because if I go for the operations, then it's too late. So let me put everything, meditation, prayer, Reiki, healing. I did everything. And then one thing I remember Tony Robbins said, get a dream so big that it scares you. And so one night I was watching a documentary of someone from South Africa in crutches climbing a mountain by the name of Kilimanjaro, the highest mountain in Africa. And I finally said to my friends, maybe I should go do that, and they laughed. And when I told my family, they said, no, Cobus, you get another goal. That's not going to happen. Yet I did set myself a goal, and my dream was to go and then climb Kilimanjaro. I surrounded myself with people that believed in it, that helped me to make sure that I exercised, that I strengthened myself. And so I canceled my operations and I became focused on climbing this mountain. And 3 years later on this journey in 2018, that's from 2015 to 2018, I went to climb the mountain of Kilimanjaro. I did it with my crutches. I came back reborn, almost died on the mountain. And I came just with a new mindset, a new philosophy, and a philosophy around whatever it takes. When you are passionate about what you want to do and you do it with the mindset of whatever it takes, you don't have excuses. You don't blame anyone. You basically take responsibility for your life. And through that journey, my values were created. One, courage, to be courageous. We have to have courage to take on things that we don't want to do. And secondly, execution is important. So that comes through implementing, taking action, but not just taking action, but having a plan that is then followed by action. And then the last thing that had a big impact on my life was legacy. because I have two little boys.
Ooh.
They are now 17 and 12. They were very little at that time. And they became my motivation, my legacy. And so, how am I going to not leave them behind? But every person that I touch, what is the legacy I'm leaving behind? And so, as today, I'm back. Yet I've never gone for the operations. The doctor said, according to my x-rays I did last year, my joints is worse than they were 7 years ago. And guess what? I'm walking without my crutches as if I'm normal. People won't say there's any problem. So anything is possible.
And I believe that as well. And you're talking about the things I 100% believe in and work in those areas. And I mean, it's just as simple as if we cut our finger, it heals. If we break a bone, it heals. Why can't we heal anything else? Well, we can. It's just, I think, at least in the Americas, that we've been conditioned to believe that doctors know best. And I
Yes.
personally think you knew what you needed. You knew what your body needed. You overcame and you literally climbed a mountain.
Yes, literally. When many other people have excuses of doing something, I had all the excuses, Nicole. I could have also said X, Y, Z. I'm not healthy. My bones. I'm in crutches. I had all the reasons. And then
Wow.
there was this one quote from Gandhi that says, if, to create your destiny, you need to start with what is your beliefs. When you know what your beliefs are, remember your beliefs then forms your thoughts. As a man thinketh, so is he. Your thoughts then is followed by your words, because what the heart is full of, it overflows. So your words follows. There's even a book that says life and death is in the power of the tongue. So whatever you speak becomes life. But now afterwards, the more you speak it, then actions follow. And the more your actions follow, it becomes a habit and a lifestyle. And the more that happens, it becomes a value system. And before you know it, you actually created that reality. And so to change the reality, I needed to think of what person do I need to be able to achieve that? What beliefs, what thoughts, what words? And when I knew that, I started working on my beliefs. And the one way I could do it was first to start speaking it. And sometimes people say, yeah, but it's not true. I said, yeah, but as long as you start sowing it, you start hearing it. The more you
Mm-hmm.
hear it, the more you can think it, the more you think it, the more you can feel it. And before you know it, it becomes your reality. And that was the quote that basically impacted my whole journey.
Wow. Now, before your journey, were you in leadership? Were you in a high performance team mode? Or did that climb change your whole life in terms of coming back and creating yourself as a coach, a leader, a team architect? What was the journey there?
So I went and studied marketing. I have a degree in marketing. I joined the family business. My dad had furniture stores at that moment, retail. And I went and joined the family business, grew it from 6 stores to over 50 stores and 50 employees to over 500. And so I thought that was going to be my future. That's the destiny I'm going. So I came out of an environment of growing business, growing teams, understanding the dynamics, especially in South Africa, where we have multicultural. It's not just one culture. It's over 12, 13, 14 cultures that you have to manage, everyone with different beliefs, different mindsets. Never in my mind I ever thought I would do what I do today. I thought I will build a family business. However, the Kilimanjaro journey came back and made me realize is that there's something more to it that I want to achieve. It's not just for South Africa, it's for the world. I had this burning desire to do more. So I left the family business. My younger brother today is the CEO and running that. And I decided, okay, how am I going to apply the skills? And this is how I got into it. I started speaking. And then when I started speaking, I got people to walk on fire. And then I realized it's just, you walk on fire, you feel good, but a month later, you're back to your old habits, right? Yes, something did change, but I want something sustainable. I want something where, like when I came back from Kilimanjaro, my whole life changed. And so that's when I went into how do you create a performance team? If you take, for example, the F1, those people is high performance. Everyone knows exactly what they do. No one can make a mistake. How do we create an environment like that with the right communication, the right mindset, and the right strategies? And I think that's what got me excited, that I wanted to share that to the world.
Oh yeah, and it's so positive. It's listening to yourself rather than other people telling you what to do. And who knows
Yes.
you better than you?
Yes, and now it's to give the people the tools to understand themselves better so that they can get and fall in love with themselves first. Because when your cup is flowing and overflowing, it overflows automatically to the others. And so you basically, and that's where legacy comes from, is basically you overflowing your cup. You impact the people around you. You basically filling their cups and you're making them feel good. And so you're leaving a legacy, a footprint.
I love that. I love that so much. And it's so interesting because one of the most important things I learned, because I went through a very bad divorce and had to utilize a lot of forgiveness. But in that, I learned to love myself, which was something I had never thought about. And it changed my whole life. It changed my whole view. It changed my whole dynamic. And it made me look at others and realize that not a lot of people know to love themselves. It was really interesting, and but it totally changed my life. And I love, you call it legacy too. Love can be a beautiful legacy. Learning to love yourself, can't it?
Beautiful. I totally agree. And I think that's one of the commandments to have in life is to first love yourself and then to go and love others the way you love yourself as well. And that's so beautiful for me. And we can only give what we have. And so that's a good way to start it. And I had to learn it because of me being a hemophiliac, being disabled, not being able to walk, not having normal joy. I can't go to the gym and get muscles. I have all these reasons, okay. But however, when I started looking in the mirror, I started falling in love with me and realized I don't need anyone to save me. I save myself because it's my life. It's the way I wake up every morning and how do I face the day. And if imagine we can teach that to other people and to realize that every day is a new day. And when you get to wherever you go, whose lives are you touching? Those who are working with you, your customers, your suppliers, your team, we all have an impact. And imagine you can have that switch in the mind is that I'm in charge. I'm in control of my future, my happiness, the way people experience me, and I can show up better. It becomes a ripple effect that we ripple into the world and we really impact all the communities. And then, because again, if you look at what's happening in the world, we need love for each other, basically.
That's the one thing that I always talk about is love and be the ripple. But when you look in the mirror and you look at yourself, even for a minute every day, and just even if you just nod your head like I'm here, I'm good, this is a good day, it permeates your cells and it becomes part of your being. And so you don't even have to do it all the time to know that you're special, to know that you're important, and to know that you love yourself. And it was the biggest paradigm shift for me ever.
Yes.
And I love the ripple effect too. And what I noticed, and you might as well, you start pulling the same like kind person towards you. You don't see those nasty Nancys or the negative Nellies or anything. You're like, oh, I recognize you because we're vibrating at the same level.
Yes, and that's the people you want to attract because they just help you to also excel the whole time. And I mean, and it's just a story about this little boy, that I read that he's bored and he doesn't know what to do. And so he goes to his mom and he asks for his mom for a game. And the mom takes the newspaper, and at the back of the newspaper is a map of the world. And so she tears it into little pieces and she gives it to her son and says, here is a puzzle. Go put it together. A few minutes later, he comes back and he has put the world together. And the mom says, so my son, how did you do that? And how was the experience? He says, Mom, it was so easy. You see, when I turned the pieces around, I started seeing the face of a person. And so when I fixed the person, the world was fixed. And it made me realize, and this is where the thing is, if we fix ourselves, the world will automatically change around us.
Absolutely. And, I just have come to the point where I think for me, I'll always be a work in progress. It's for the remainder of what I've got, but that's okay because people change, life changes, circumstances change, and you have to be really flexible. And so to be able to weave your way into these things, you have to change. And so it's not, change is
Yeah,
not a bad thing. People are afraid of change, or, oh, I can't change who I am. Oh, you most certainly can. And I am living proof, as are you.
definitely. And that's where it starts. And I think that's what got me into this journey of sharing not only my story, but also sharing tools and techniques for people to help themselves to achieve their full potential and to leave a legacy behind. However, you need to have courage to be able to say, I need to change, and I need to take that leap of faith.
Yeah, right. You got to set ego aside right there. Get rid of that ego and just say, I'm going to do what I need to do, not what anybody else is going to judge. I don't need the ego. Now, you said you have two sons, correct?
Correct. Yes. Two boys, 17 and 12 now. My youngest, when he was 2, he started walking on fire. And every time I want to say to him, no, it's not possible. He says to me, but Dad, you said if I can walk on fire, I can do anything. So I have to always remind myself I can't limit him. I need to help him to always find solutions in what he wants to do, because his mind is just so open to potential and possibilities.
Oh, and I love that. I absolutely love that they are emulating their dad. Because if dad can do it, I want to try that. And then they become limitless.
Definitely. I take my oldest for during December holidays. There was a modeling competition for Mr. Hartenbos, is the place called. And he's very shy. Well, it was my perception of him. He was always this shy, lonely. And I just jokingly said, hey, look, here's Mr. Hartenbos is happening. Do you want to go do it? And he looks at me and he says, yeah, that sounds like fun. And I'm like, I was taken aback. And he went and he did it. He wasn't shy. He could answer the questions. He went shirtless to show off his muscles. And I was so impressed. And he said, because he learned from us that you don't have excuses. You need to test new things and put yourself out there. Be courageous to be able to grow. And I was so impressed. And it shows you that our kids looks at us and they learn from us.
They're watching. They watch. They learn from what we do, not from what we say. I've learned that lesson because I have two girls, and I've just always been very cautious of. I wanted to be the example, of volunteer work, of kindness, and now I've got these two girls that do it without even thinking. It's just like second nature, and there's another ripple. People can watch them and start doing it. So I love that. Now let's talk about your leadership and keynote speaking. Who do you work with? What kind of people do you work with? And do you work all over now that we're kind of, we can reach anybody in the world? Do you have clients from other places than South Africa?
Yes, luckily online I do. I have a few, and I have one in Hungary, for example, the UK, Ireland, and in the US. I'm actually coming soon to the US as well. And that's helped the online side. I like to work with big corporates and companies, especially third, fourth, and fifth generation family-owned businesses, because I come myself from a family-owned business. So I understand the dynamics and the internal conflict of those companies that are scaling and growing. However, there's some big corporates that I do work with as well, especially those CEOs and directors that wants to create a performance environment for their leadership. And what I found is the moment you quite know what you want to work with is you start attracting those people. For example, my CEO on the desk is they are a D. They're very dominant. They risk. They're red color, so they're very driven, results focused. They like to get things done. They don't have a lot of empathy. I think I bring the empathy for them to show them that empathy part. But they're also very family orientated, love whiskey and wine, love to spend time with their family. Family is very important for them as well. So, but when I started knowing this, I started attracting those people, and because they like to be challenged, and I like to challenge others, and so that has opened up the world for me. What on my plans is for a leadership is to understand, to become more consciously aware of the people that they lead. That it's not like in the old days. We need to be more consciously aware, more people focused, because of the world with AI and technology improvements. The only thing that will make a company different from any other company is their human advantage.
Ooh,
understand that culture is the one that's going to set you apart, and your human connectedness is going to set you apart from what the world is going towards, because everyone can buy the same AI or software or technology, but nobody can buy your culture.
absolutely. And I don't think, as a person and a human with empathy, understanding, and kindness, that doesn't necessarily come from that little app that we download what we need. That the human, they're trying to get rid of us, I think, but I think people crave human bonds, human togetherness. And those are the kind of people I'm looking for, that still like just sitting and talking and making eye contact.
Definitely. We have a beautiful Zulu word that says sawubona, and sawubona means I see you. And it's almost like avatar, the greeting, I see you. And I remember I was teaching that to a company, and the one leader came to me and said to me, we're so used to emails and being behind computers and social media. The moment you said that you see me, touched me somehow. I need to understand why, because it really sort of made tears in my eyes that I felt seen for the first time in a long time. And it made me realize we are also busy, that we're getting back to where people just want to feel connected and seen again. And imagine leadership can be leading that way and have their staff, their workforce look up and feel seen and feel part of a bigger picture.
Ooh, I love that. And I know so many people that just go in every day to a job, and they're around people, but they're not seen.
They're not seen.
They're not seen, and they're surrounded by people, but they're lonely, and that makes me so sad. That makes me so sad. Kind of the world we're living in right now, but I would like to be. I can only throw one, starfish back in the ocean at a time. So I'm just hoping that I can make that kind of difference with someone. And I always tell people, if I can help one person, I'm good. But I want to help thousands. But we'll see what happens. Now, when are you coming to the U.S.?
So it's around June. I will be in Phoenix, and I'm coming for a conference. I'm coming for a conference. And so
are you? Which conference is it?
It's a conference by Tony Robbins and a few other speakers around AI. So I'm coming that side to do that. And I thought at the same time, I'm going to line up some people to meet and see who else I can meet. I've just opened also my company in the US, so I need to come make sure that the IRS and all of them are happy with me.
Yeah, so they have their eyes on you. No, I lived in Arizona for 27 years, and I just recently moved to South Carolina because my dad was out here. I miss Arizona. It was just, I came from California, Hawaii, then Arizona, and I love Arizona. And I'm in South Carolina, but that's okay. I can be a ripple here too.
Definitely. So, and I think, and you were called to be where you are. And I believe when we move, we don't always see the opportunities or what needs to happen. It's like you said, you might just meet that one person that actually needed to hear your medicine. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, I truly believe that. Now, as a keynote speaker, do you speak online? Do you speak in person? And what do you speak about?
Yes, I do online. I actually love in person more because I give it an experience. I would bring example, my broken glass walk, and we would walk on broken glass on stage, or some fun activity like that. Or we drum on stage and dance. And so my talk is very interactive. So there's different ones. So one is my story about walking through fire, whatever it takes. That's my personal story about how I ended up in a wheelchair, how I climbed Kilimanjaro, and then have opportunity to get my book that has the same name, and just to take something away. So it's more motivational, inspirational. Then recently, I've launched now a talk around AI, the human advantage. For leadership, it's for leaders to understand how do we still lead in a world of AI? How do we really impact, and how can we combine AI with a human touch and makes us that advantage in the world? So that's two. Then I've just recently been also certified as a Vanessa Edwards people science coach. And so I bring in human behavior into it. So my other talk is about how to use body language and human behavior to become a better communicator, to really impact and influence those people around you in your life. So that's just a quick talks. And then sometimes people will get me to do a fire walk. And then I bring my team and we get people to walk on 500 to 600 degrees Celsius.
Oh my goodness. My goodness. And I saw that you also are, NLP.
Yes, NLP life coach. It's because of when I saw Tony Robbins, how he uses it to help people to get healing and to help themselves. I went to train that as well.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it? I've taken it and I use it, but I more to understand people than really, treat them or anything. But if you listen and you watch body language, you learn so much more than you speaking. I'm always just real quiet and listen very, very closely, and it's helped me tremendously. So, I encourage people to listen more and talk less at times.
And that's the power, and that's what I want to give leaders, is to give them those tools to be able to do it, right? How do you, a simple example is when you listen, it's just tilting your head a little bit, opening up your ears so that people, it's a subconscious thing that people see that you are listening, so they open up a little bit more. And for leaders that are not used to empathy and all of that, for them to understand that the simple body shift like that can make the other person feel like you are listening and you connect with them. Even if you don't feel anything, you are actually getting impact with the people that you are with. And so listening is number one. It's key.
Wow. And I know so many people that it never shuts. It's like, and like you said, when you listen, you learn, whether it be about that person or some little trivia, whatever it is, you will learn so much more. But we are almost out of time. I knew this would go so fast. Give us some golden nuggets about who you work with and how you can help them.
Thank you, Nicole. Yes. So I'm looking first. I think, if a company is struggling at the moment because of what's happening in the world, right? The only thing I always like to say, we're in a pie. Everyone is struggling at the same time, right? Because everyone is from the same economy. What I like to say is like Gandhi's quote that says, everything starts with a belief, our thoughts, our words. So we need to create the environment that works for us, our intentions. What is it we want, right? Because most people don't know what they want. They're not specific enough. You can say, I want more money, but if I give you $1, it doesn't mean you're going to be happy because you probably didn't want $1, but yet you have more money, right? So be specific about what you want. So by getting a team together, I realized that if they focus on what is important for them and for them to achieve as a team, they can succeed in an economy environment where everyone is struggling, and yet the economy is so small. I like to joke and say, you go and take the business from your competitors so that you can still tell everyone how amazing the environment is, and let your competitors that couldn't afford Cobus say how bad the economy is because they want to blame shift, right? And so that's one. The second one is I've noticed the challenges that many family-owned businesses have, right? Is they get to a third and fourth generation, and how do we transition from a family-owned business to a corporate, if I have to say that way? There's always that transition, the jealousy, people infighting, in conflict, is to how do we create an environment where the business will keep lasting on when we are not there? What is that process like? What is that where we can still walk away and we know the legacy of the founders that have founded this business can last on for another 100 plus years, right? And then thirdly is for those leaders that feel like when they, especially, if I look at the ages, I usually hear from 15 up, asking the questions, right? I'm close to retirement, next 10 years. What is my life going to be like? What is the business going to look like? What is what's my legacy I'm leaving behind? Because legacy is not money, it's not assets is, what is your blueprint? What is your philosophy? What is it? Because the thing is, Nicole, is when if something passes on, everyone mourns for a few months, and then they all go back to their own life. And so one way of doing this is why I like to challenge leaders is to write a book. Because here's the thing, Nicole. How would you have loved to go to your library and take a book out that was written by your grandfather or your great grandfather?
Right. And it's when they pass, the library leaves, the library's gone. You don't have access to that library anymore of theirs.
Definitely. And that's why it's like now my dad as well. I got him to write a book as well. It doesn't have to be, but what are we leaving behind? Something that will be lost, that people can go when you're not there to still read and be inspired by your lessons. And may we never forget where we come from. Because if we forget where we come from, we will keep creating the same reality. Let us learn from the past so that we can create a better future to strive for other people to say, wow, we really made a difference. And that's what it's about for me, is to say, who out there is willing to have the courage to step up, that is willing to execute and really go out and get their hands filthy, to build a legacy that will change this world forever. Because here's the thing is, it takes one leader that can become the next president. You might impact the next person that might become the future president of the USA, that will change the world for the better in the end of the day. And that's what it's about. Let's impact one person at a time, one company at a time, and create the future that we like to envision, that is peace, prosperity, love, all. I believe anything is possible.
I love it. I love it. And I want to thank you so much for hopping on today. You are my new favorite Viking. But I always appreciate people's time, and I appreciate their wisdom, and you bring a lot. So what I would say to anybody watching today is I do have links where you can find Cobus. It's going to be in his description, which will be up on our YouTube channel by the end of the day. So I am so happy that you came on today. As always, I've learned so much, and I just want to thank you for your time, for your wisdom, for your knowledge. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay. And thank you, everyone, for watching. I will see you soon. Take care.